What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Horrorheads podcast. I am Rich Mallery here with my co-host Jerry Lourenco.
How's it going?
It's going pretty well for a Tuesday. So you can follow us on Instagram at Horrorheads Podcast or email us your love and hate to horrorheadspodcast at gmail.com. You could check out this podcast wherever podcasts are available. Audio-wise, we also have the video that we have been putting up on YouTube, which is a lot of fun. You could really see the pain in my face as I get drunk. And last episode, I drank this Mexican whiskey, and yeah, it's a blast to watch me barely not throw up.
Shit is real, man. Shit is real.
Yeah, for all the people that doubted if we were actually drinking, like this is the proof. You can see the video on YouTube. So today we are going to talk about the Annabelle trilogy of films, and the reason why we're talking about that is because number one, like nothing really new has come out and we couldn't think of anything to talk about, but also they are putting the original Annabelle back in theaters for like a one night only as part of Blumhouse's Halfway to Halloween festival. I forget the date it's going to be, but I believe early May they're going to be playing the original Annabelle, which is kind of cool that they're putting it back in theaters. I remember I saw the original Annabelle in theaters. I went on a really awkward blind Tinder date, and there was not a second date. So the movie was great because it was actually time we didn't have to talk, and it just got rid of some of the awkwardness. But
How,
that's
how
my
did you how'd you land on Annabelle?
I think it was just so the person was a horror fan, which was cool.
Oh,
Which is why like we
okay.
matched and things like that. And I think it just came out, so it was like, well, you want to go see Annabelle? I'm like, sure. And we went, and the date was a bit of a disaster. But
Man,
actually, it wasn't that bad. It was just we just didn't have a lot in common, other than the horror movie, which after there was not a ton to talk about.
man, I
So
wish
that's
someone
my.
asked me to go to Annabelle.
I don't know. Do
Fuck.
you though? Because so I know you're a little
In
bit of
general, I think I'm speaking in general. I don't know if
a.
I'm speaking of
Because if
Annabelle
because
per
if someone
se.
asks me to go see it when it comes out in 2 weeks, I'm probably going to say no. But look, I'm also not a huge fan of the franchise. I think you like them a little more than me, and we'll get into that in a second.
Yeah.
But before we kind of get to all things Annabelle, I do want to start drinking. So
Oh,
what I have here tonight is it's a classic, and it's a classic I slept on for a long time. I'm drinking some Crown Royal
oh,
tonight.
love it. Hell yeah.
And I hated on this for a long time. And then a few years back, the show Narcos came out on Netflix, and it was what Pablo Escobar was drinking. So I was like, if it's good enough for El Padron, it's good enough for me. So I tried it. I'm like, you know what? It's actually pretty good. So I'm gonna pour this right now. It's 40%, so a nice breakfast bourbon. What do you got there?
Hell yeah. I got something a little different tonight. I got some Yellowstone bourbon.
Okay, the
All
halfway
right.
empty bottle.
Yeah, it's about halfway empty, 93 proof. I'm wondering if Beth Dutton or Rip drink this on the regular, but it probably has something to do with the national park, is what I'm assuming.
Is
Not
that where
really.
like where's it made? Like, is it made
Uh,
there or
I think it is. Yeah, yeah, actually it says it's from the National Parks Conservation Association. So it is something to do with Yellowstone. So I guess they
okay, they're
donate
making bourbon
money.
there. Cool. I hope our tax
But
dollars went to that.
yeah,
I support that.
in my head it was more of Yellowstone the show, but it's okay. You live and learn.
All right, cheers.
Yeah, cheers, man. Mm.
Woo. Yeah, I like Crown. It's like light, it's easy to drink. It's got a little bit of a sweet caramel taste to it. Nothing crazy. There's really no burn or heat because of the low proof. It's a
Mm.
nice little bourbon that you could pound pretty easily. Um, Big fan of the Crown.
Yeah, I like Crown a lot. It's always kind of like syrupy to me. It's like
Yeah, yeah, it
it
does taste like a little
has like a
maple
nice
syrup.
has like a nice taste to it. This, on the other hand, is whew, man, this is a burn right up front, man. As soon as it hits your mouth, it's burning. So that 93 proof is really kicking. But there's actually a lot of flavor in here. This is what I don't know if I'm describing it right, even though we had a bourbon lesson. This is like a little thick to me. It's like it has like a thick taste to it. There's a lot to it, and it kind of stays with you. So I'm definitely getting, let me see.
I like thick.
Mm-hmm. It's definitely it's definitely sweet. I'm getting that past the burn. Yeah, some probably some caramel and chocolate notes in there. It's pretty good. I actually really like this bourbon. It's just
Nice.
it's fire though. It is no joke. Like right now, I feel like I'm sweating a little bit because it's like the heat is just kind of like taking over my head right now. So it burns and it burns a long time. So I guess that's a good thing. When you're sipping.
It's funny. I feel like the past few episodes you've picked some high proof bourbons, and I have not. And I have not done that by design. It's just kind of the ones I've been picking have been lower proof. But yeah, I think maybe next episode, maybe I'll try to get in on something with a little bit more heat, a little bit more spirit to it. Um,
Yeah, I definitely like higher proofs normally. It's not really just because I'm like trying to get fucked up. I mean, I'm
no, no,
like
not at all.
like 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 a like I am a little bit tonight trying, but I can't get too fucked up because I need to talk. But I think it does something with the taste. It like the heat and the taste is like a nice mixture, and I think like the lower proofs, it almost tastes like it's watered down a little bit to me at this point. So I do like a higher proof because I am going to put ice in it. So I guess maybe that kind of tames it down a little bit once it starts melting and it tastes the way it should, as opposed to like say like an 80 proof or something low. Once the ice melts a little bit, I'm just like, what am I drinking here? So, but not to say I don't drink anything at a low proof. I definitely do. But I think when something is like sitting and you want to sip, I think a high proof is good.
Yeah, I think my crown already is tasting like a little watery, and I just poured it over this ice. So,
So I normally
um,
drink Crown neat. Actually, I drink
oh,
it neat
interesting.
most of the time. Yeah, I really like it because I really think like those like syrupy kind of flavors come out like when it's neat. I love it. I ordered some liquor from like Uber Eats or something like that, and they completely gave me the wrong thing, and I got some Crown in there. I'm like, I'm gonna
Oh,
drink it,
okay.
and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna order this now because I really liked it, and yes, sometimes I am too lazy to get my ass up off the couch, and I just have to pay like $30 extra to have it delivered to me, but sometimes it's worth it.
Yeah, you know what? I have not gotten to that level of alcoholism yet where I'm getting it delivered, but maybe soon. I mean, you are a
I
few
mean,
months older than me, so I have some time.
a rainy day, you're comfortable, you're watching TV. Do you really
You're
want to get
drunk.
up? Do you want to get up?
I
I don't
never want
want
to get up. Once I'm on
to.
that couch, I'm done. All right, so now so let's get into some movies. So we're going to talk about the original Annabelle from, I believe it's 2014. We're going to talk about the sequel or prequel, Annabelle Creation, and then we're going to talk about Annabelle Comes Home,
Mm,
which came out a few years back. So before we kind of get into the movie itself, Annabelle, like
hmm
I have a question for you because I had this burning question when I'm rewatching these
Wow.
movies.
Okay.
Yeah, so they explain it in Annabelle Comes Home that the doll Annabelle is like a beacon for other spirits. But I'm really confused as to like how like what happens? Like is the doll possessed? Does the doll do demons get attracted to the doll?
Mm.
Because it's kind of weird because like there's this doll that doesn't really move that is like the center of all of these stories, but the doll doesn't do shit. It's like there's like other things happening. So I'm having a hard time like correlating the doll
Ye-
to anything. So can you
ye-
explain it to
Yeah, I
us?
feel you. It's a conduit to summon a demon, basically, and yeah, they do get into it a bit in the prequel with Sam and Esther, and essentially their daughter had died tragically in that accident, and some paranormal activity was kind of happening. So they ended up kind of making a deal with the devil to bring their daughter back. But it was just a trick from essentially this demon. And once the demon had a place to go, then it becomes like more powerful. So it needs the doll to kind of have like the location, and then it could kind of do what it needs to do. And that ended up becoming Annabelle. So the doll itself is more like a vehicle, I guess,
Okay.
is the easiest way to explain it. Yeah, the doll, but the doll does move. The doll
Well, not
does
on its
move
own. Like they
sometimes.
sometimes like a demon will pick it up or something like that, but the doll doesn't have like moving arms or anything like that. So,
No, but it could turn its head.
oh yeah,
And
yeah.
I mean, there were situations where it did rise up from the closet when it had the sheet on.
Okay, I remember
I
that.
mean, I think it does. I don't think I don't think it runs. I don't think it attacks, but I think it can be used for certain sort of movements. But yeah, I don't think it's a perfect plot. And as you really kind of look at like these films, especially starting with the first one, Annabelle, it's kind of loose, I would say.
Yeah, yeah, it's very loose.
And I think it's one of those like kind of trilogies where they try to fix it as they go along. They're like, "Ugh, that doesn't make sense. Let's explain that here." And then they realize, ah, shit, that doesn't make sense either. So let's explain that here. And I think just throughout, and this is just, about overall the entire series is I think they're really just trying to like fill in their own plot holes for to make like a world
Hmm.
for Annabelle, and it is a little confusing. I don't think it's straightforward, and I think the most important thing it's a paranormal film, so I don't
Right.
think it has to make 100% sense. But yeah, I feel you with that. It's just it's a little strange. Yeah, we're talking about Annabelle, but I mean it could be Annabelle the person as well because it ended up being physically a person in two of the films. So it's who is Annabelle, you know?
Yeah, no, and thank you for explaining to me. And like 2 points on that. It's so they explained the lore in Annabelle Creation, which makes sense. I will say, so when I watched Annabelle Creation, and like this isn't the only film that does this, but like in this film specifically, watching it, so quiet a lot of times, and then so fucking loud. Like, and
Yeah.
there's a lot of jump scares, and the movie was just like honestly, like I got tired of fucking with the volume, and finally I just kept it really low. So I missed a lot of the plot and explanation because I was just too tired. I didn't feel like watching it with subtitles. I just got
Yeah.
tired of there's a like it's like jump scare city in this movie. It's like nonstop jump scares, like once it gets going. And I got tired of the boom, boom, boom. So I just like had it down and I probably missed all of that. And then getting back to like you said, them fixing the plot holes, I completely get that because when I watched Annabelle, what I think like this is my gut feeling about this
Yeah.
movie. The Conjuring was really popular.
Oh
They
yeah.
needed to do something quick. They picked any script that they had and they said, okay, let's throw a doll in that and make it like an Annabelle movie and then we'll shoot this movie. And I don't think they really thought too hard about it. They're like, we just need to put something out because the movie it feels very different than the other two and feels very different than a lot of the films in the Conjuring universe to me. Um, but it just feels like like they kind of threw something together. And what I mean by that, and we'll get to the plot in a minute. To me, the movie feels like they took a lot of and I think they're all kind of like this. They took a lot of scary scenes from other movies and just kind of mashed them together. Like to me, all of these movies, and I know it's not true, but it felt like they're made with AI. Like it's just like, oh,
Oh
what?
yeah.
Give me ten scary things to happen,
I
and that's what it spit out, and that's what these
yeah.
movies are. And like them or hate them, like that's the feeling I get is that it's just a bunch of shit that like they thought would be scary, in my
So,
opinion.
I want to say, and just kind of like working off of that, and I'm a huge fan of
Yeah,
The Conjuring. The whole universe of The Conjuring with Annabelle, the nun. I probably assume that the nun was probably like the worst out of like all the films. And
agreed.
if you had asked me before I watched all three of these films, which one I thought would be the best, I would probably say it was Annabelle, the original. But now I'm going to say out of the three and out of the universe, the original Annabelle is probably the worst film. And it's just because it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And uh I agree with you. It's like they're just trying to think of like scary stuff to do and just like let's throw it into the movie. Now there are definitely things I do like about
Yeah,
it, but one thing I did realize is I probably saw this movie 5 times. Let's say I saw it 5 times, right? I saw it definitely more than 3 times. It's probably the fifth time I watch it. I never remember it. Nothing about this
Same.
film sticks with me. I'm always surprised. The parts I thought were in this film were in the other Annabelles. The plot lines I thought were in this film were in the other. It just this film does not stay with me at all, even though I've seen it so many times. So I mean, I say we just dive into it and start picking it apart.
Yeah, and I've watched these a bunch too, and same thing. Like I like knew the basic plot of this, but I like forgot a lot about this movie. And I will say, watching them all in a row, they do kind of, even though they're very different movies, I'm gonna have a hard time remembering what was in what without referencing my notes. Because again, it is just scares after scares after scares, and I forget what happened in what. But yeah, let's talk about Annabelle
I
2014.
I
Sorry.
will say that after watching these three, I do have a new favorite one. And it's not the one I thought it was going to be. But after watching all three so close together, I was like, that's superior to these other films. And we'll get to that when we get to it. And I'll tell you right now, it's not this one.
So the plot is so John has found the perfect gift for his expectant wife Mia, a beautiful rare vintage doll in a pure white wedding dress. I think this doll is like one of the like ugliest looking dolls I've ever
Creepiest
seen.
shit I've ever seen in my
But
life.
and it's funny, and like the woman collects a ton of dolls and then she puts this on the shelf and it does not fit in
Looks like
with any of the other
trash. It looks like
dolls.
straight
It's like
trash,
two
right?
feet taller. Yeah, it makes no sense.
Yeah.
But anyway, getting back to the
Like,
plot. But Mia's delight with Annabelle the doll doesn't last long because on one horrific night, their home is invaded by members of a satanic cult who violently attack the couple. Spilled blood and terror are not all they leave behind. The cultists have, I guess, conjured a demon, which I guess attaches itself to Annabelle, and then Annabelle haunts the couple. Mia is pregnant. She does end up giving birth, although there are many instances where you'd think that would be in jeopardy, but she does give birth, and this demon haunts them looking for just one soul. He just needs one soul, and then that's it, which to me seems really odd that this demon would come all the way here to get one soul, and then what does he do with the soul? I don't know. It seems kind of silly,
go home.
but that's Annabelle. And you know, it's funny, they throw a lot of shit at you, right? So you have this like a bunch of creepy shit, like you have this satanic cult attack, which is like, it feels like its own movie, and that
Yeah.
happens. And then like, there's like her pregnant and a bunch of scary shit happens. They think she's gonna lose the baby and she doesn't. And that feels like one movie. Now she has the baby and like her husband's always going away and all this creepy shit happens.
Typical.
And then you start learning about this like quote unquote satanic cult, and it's a lot of different ideas, which is why again I think it was like another script for a different movie, and they're just like they probably cut half of that script and then filled it in with Annabelle shit and said we just got to make this movie quick. It's a weird fucking movie. It's all over the place.
Yeah, it's definitely everywhere. And when you first kind of start this film and this new young couple are moving into their home and their neighbors are dropping them off, the Higgins, you're like, ah, this what's gonna happen here? But then Annabelle, who is the Higgins adopted daughter, attacks them one night, kills them, and
Wait,
then
what? That's who that was? The member of the satanic cult was someone's
yeah,
a
that's Annabelle,
I didn't get any of that. I
wh-
missed all of
which
that.
which is Jan from Creation. She changes her name when she gets adopted and she becomes Annabelle. So that's their daughter. And she
Wait,
atta-
okay. You know what? I'm just gonna let you talk because like I did not get any of this, and now I'm even more confused than I was before. But okay, so the
so the
woman who
girl,
gets killed is like from create. Okay, all right,
no,
okay.
no,
You know what? Let's
they're
move on. Let's move
they are
on.
they are the Higgins are the people at the end of Creation that adopt that girl and they ask her
Okay,
her name and she says her name is Annabelle. Fast forward 12 years, she runs away with the cult and then she comes back and she attacks them.
okay.
The Higgins, the next door neighbor, somehow ending up in John and Mia's home, which happens to have that doll. And then and I don't know if it's intentional. I don't know if she knew the doll would be there. I feel like they did because she made a beeline right for that bedroom after the like while the attack was happening to grab that doll. And then she basically performs some sort of quick ritual and she kills herself and she puts herself in the basically the Annabelle doll. So she essentially is Annabelle now in the Annabelle doll, which was named originally from Esther and Sam's daughter
Oh my God.
for when she got killed by the, when she got killed and she changed her name to match.
That is
So
so fucking confusing.
it's
And I'll
it's
be honest,
confusing.
I didn't pick up on any of that. Like,
Yeah, it's a little confusing and
a little.
yeah,
Okay, all right.
it
I'll
is.
go with it.
It's a lot, and I was going to question if whether or not you thought that they knew that the doll would be there. Um,
No, I had no
their
clue
house.
that any of that was
So,
like background.
but again, we know that that ends up at some sort of thrift store. It's very confusing what happens with this doll. This doll is basically everywhere. But yeah, so
Okay, got it.
the point of this is I really thought that they were trying to go in like some sort of Manson family kind of direction, and that's really what this film was going to be about. Is going to be like a very like kind of cultish Manson family thing, but it
Which would
doesn't
have been
go in.
cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it just doesn't go in that
Yeah.
direction at all. It gets into this very convoluted plot that I just kind of try to explain. And I'm probably missing like one or two details that would probably really drive it home for you, but
Yeah.
I probably missed it too. Um, but yeah, I mean, there's a lot of weird things that happen. She kills herself. They were attacked. The police come. There's blood all over this doll. She comes home and the doll is just there. Like, how is this not evidence? How is it not like taken by the
Yeah, why
police?
didn't they take the doll
And
like away?
and
Yeah.
there's no noticeable blood on the doll after the attack when you know that this girl basically killed herself and dripped blood onto the doll because that's kind of what you feel like activated it. So, like, how did the doll even end up there? Is my question. How is it not like police evidence? It was like there was a murder. There's a double murder. There was an attack, a home invasion. All this stuff happens, and yet they just get to keep the doll. It was really creepy and weird.
Yeah, and again, just weird that they would keep the doll in general. Like I knew that like
Yeah.
they tried to throw it out at one point
Hmm.
and it comes back, but like to me, I that's another reason to throw it out
Yeah,
again.
throw it
Like,
out again,
you
man.
know?
Get rid of that shit. And it was just
Yeah.
like a cop
And it
out. Why?
wasn't even like yeah, it seemed odd to me. And I feel like they didn't even really clean the doll up. Like it's like filthy
It's
and
like
like with
that's what I
like
was
the
saying. It's like, what is this
it's
doll doing
odd.
with her
Odd.
collection? And I don't get it. And they allude that it's very expensive because even the doctor said they may miss their rent payment because of he purchased the doll. So
Right.
it probably cost a G, something like that is what I'm guessing. For the 70s, like what would rent cost in a house that they were staying in? But yeah, so that was weird. But I'll tell you a couple things I did like.
Okay.
So a couple things I did like is I do like when a lot of the creepy stuff started happening. When Mia was home, and I like that most of it really happened during the day.
Yeah.
And I love it when filmmakers kind of play on that, that sense of security. And I probably mentioned this before on this podcast. I like that when they mess with your sense of security. It's the daytime. The monsters can't come out. The ghosts can't come out. Everything's going to be fine. You just have to worry about nighttime. If you get through the nighttime, make it through daytime, you're going to be okay. But a lot of the activity and a lot of the stuff that happens to her happens during the day. And I think that really kind of like helped develop the Mia character and like all the anxiety she was facing. And she was kind of going crazy and kind of having a breakdown. And of course, there's the distant, uh, husband, John, that's like, yeah, you just worry too much. Just relax. You get worked up. And it's like all this shit is happening,
Yeah, you've dealt with all this trauma of like almost getting killed by like a satanic cult. Like
call.
How do you
you
leave your pregnant, like your wife, like
he,
and just
he
like
leaves
ignore?
her.
Yeah,
I mean, she's telling you, I mean, there's like a chair rocking, there's
yeah.
doors opening and closing.
Fires starting,
Somehow, yeah,
like
somehow the popcorn like, is left on the stove and starts burning. And it's like, what do you think? She like made all that stuff up?
yeah.
It's like he's like, yeah, yeah, don't worry. It's just your imagination, and it's like that typical douche kind of husband. And I understand he's a doctor, but would this guy work like 18-hour shifts? This dude was never home, like literally never home. Like soon as the activity started, this guy was like, I'm just gonna hang out at the
I
hospital.
mean,
He's
can
like,
you
he's
blame
not.
him?
He's like not coming home at all. And but I did think some of the scary stuff that was happening. I thought it was scary. It gives you a little bit of chills, and I think it was effective, and I like that. So to me that what's worked in this film. I think the eerie, scary stuff that they were trying to do, it definitely it played out for me. It worked.
So, like, one thing I'll say about the two main characters of why this is kind of like a forgettable movie for me, they're the most bland, boring couple. Like, this guy is like a tool. Like, she's really just lame. Like, they're just like the typical, like, and maybe that was intentional, but they're the most boring, bland characters. And I think if they could have created a lot more tension by playing up the fact that again this guy's distant or he's doing other shit. And I know one of the influences of this movie is Rosemary's Baby, which is pretty evident,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it doesn't go there where again you're like understanding that this guy's kind of a piece of shit, right? Like they just kind of kept him as like this, just a typical like guy in the whatever time place this takes place, the 60s, late 60s, I think it takes place. And I think if they would have like created the characters a little more or had that like just tension between the couple and kind of really played on that, it could have been a better movie. But it just again, it was poorly written, right? So like they just didn't do that. But yeah, it's like they're hard to watch because it's like I don't give a shit about these people. Like they're not like anyone I would ever meet or talk to. It's just so boring, so fucking both drips,
I
right?
mean, kind of dumb too.
Oh yeah.
Like they make so many mistakes throughout the film, whether it's him, whether it's her, and I kept like yelling at my TV. I'm like, what the hell is she like? Nose blind? She can't smell anything. Is she hard of smelling? Like there was a fire, she didn't smell it.
When you're
There was
pregnant, your
Yeah,
senses are
that's what I was
heightened.
saying. There was
So
something else that happened. She didn't smell it. And she does dumb things. So there was a fire. Okay, that was the latest thing that happened. Before that, there's some questionable paranormal activity. Okay. Before that, they're attacked by an occult. And before that, their neighbors got killed. That's the timeline of things that happens. What does Mia do? She has a cardboard fucking box, and she thinks it's a brilliant idea to go 6 floors down into the basement to throw out some garbage. She leaves her baby there
yeah.
with all those things that I just mentioned just happened probably within 2 weeks. And why would she leave her baby alone in the apartment with when there was literally just a fire like a couple days
Would
ago?
you ever leave your like? And this is a newborn fucking baby. Would you ever leave it alone? And I, again, I'm not a
I'm
parent.
not
I
a
never
parent,
had
but I
kids.
wouldn't.
Even without all that shit happening, it just seems odd that you would just be like, you know what, I'm gonna go do this thing. And maybe like again, like for all we know, the husband was gone for a week and like the trash was starting to stink and they had to throw it out. But like it does seem odd that they would like, why wouldn't you take your baby with you? Or like a lot of it seems like odd
Something.
choices. But again, this woman was batshit crazy. I mean, what kind of woman collects 50 different fucking dolls? Like, it just seemed like she's bizarre. I tell you what, the one I did like, so there were things I did like about it. I do think, even though it was like kind of again paint by numbers, like some of the scary parts were really good.
Yeah.
And I think there's that scene where she's like in that really dark storage area and then
Yeah, the
she's in the
basement. Yeah.
elevator, yeah, the basement, and she's in the elevator and like the door's shut and then she thinks the elevator's moving and it doesn't, the door's open, and that scene kept happening.
Loved
That
it.
was
Loved
really
it.
creepy, and I found out that that scene was actually directed by James Wan. which is why it's so much better than the whole rest of the
I loved
movie.
it. That's probably
That's
I
the best
was
scene of the movie.
I have a note here that that's one of my
Yeah.
like I said, one of my favorite parts when the elevator kept going back into
It
the
was creepy. It
basement.
was really scary.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was definitely it, and that's something that honestly like anyone would freak out. Like even if it was like just some sort of mishap with the elevator, if you thought you were like going up in floors and the doors open and you realize you're in the same exact place,
Yeah.
I don't care who you are, you're gonna get a little freaked out. You'd be like, what the hell's going on here?
Especially when
You
it's all
know?
pitch black and shit. It was
Yeah, it
scary.
was creepy as hell
Yeah.
down there. Things are moving. I mean, she saw that carriage moving. There was
Mhm.
all sorts of crazy stuff going on down there. Yeah, that was without a doubt probably the most tense and scariest scene. And now I'm kind of pissed off that James Wan directed it because I'm not a huge fan, but it's clearly way above any other scene in the entire film.
Wait, you're not a fan, but you like The Conjuring, right? He did that.
I do, but I'm just not a fan.
I
Yeah.
mean, he's doing a lot of stuff now. That's the thing.
Yeah, yeah. I just
He's doing like too much, like I feel. But he's like some of his stuff's really good. And he's a very talented. He knows how to create scary moments. Like he's good at that. And yeah, and that scene is just like miles above the rest of the movie. The other scene I really liked in this movie was there's a scene where the baby is in like another room and like the woman can like see under the door and she sees like these books falling like
oh
towards the baby
yeah.
like they're gonna land the baby and then
Yeah.
all of a sudden like you see like the Annabelle doll just kind of like pop up, which
Oh, that's great.
that was really scary, like that was creepy. But again, a lot of these scenes kind of happen towards the end of the movie, so it's like you're already kind of by the time these things happened I was already like I don't like this movie, like I'm already out, I'm already checked out because I'm confused and like I'm kind of bored. But they did have like there were some good scenes, like they were effective. One thing I do like about this movie is there at one point like he's putting snacks on the table and he puts those taco flavored Doritos, which
Oh yeah, I
I'm a
saw
huge
those. You
fan
know,
of
I saw
those.
those.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of those
You
and can
can't
never
buy
find
those
them.
anymore. You
Can
can't
never
buy them.
find them.
Yeah.
They brought it's funny, they brought them back a couple of years ago, like maybe right after this movie, they brought them back and like I got hooked on them again and now I can't find
Oh
them
man,
again. But
shoot.
those are
Yeah,
so good.
I was jealous of that entire table, man. They had Doritos, popcorn, they had pickles and
Yeah, oh
mustard,
yeah.
and I am such a huge pickles and mustard fan. Like I actually obsess over both of them, and it was crazy. I never thought about dipping a pickle into mustard until the other day when I
And
saw this movie.
I've never tried that.
I didn't try
Yeah.
it, but I'm like, oh, is that what you do with it? I never thought. I just know I eat pickles by itself, and then
Yeah.
I would eat mustard, on something, but not a pickle. But now I have to try it, and I mean, like that Jiffy Pop, I love it, man. I'm obsessed with popcorn. Love Doritos. I mean,
So they got
like,
the snacks
they
right. They
got the
got a couple of
snacks right.
scares right.
That was a home run. The snacks are a home run, I think. Yeah, for
But
sure.
they botched the ending of this, and I think again
Oh
it
my
was like
God.
they decided to end it. This
Yeah,
had
I
one
guess
of the stupidest endings in the world, and I
like
hate when these things happen in movies when a complete stranger
plot hole.
sacrifices themselves to like save a person they barely know. It was, and I know they explained it that she was already like this woman. I think Evelyn was her
Yeah, Evelyn.
name.
Yeah.
Evelyn is like this stranger that like knows all about the occult and like she suffered some trauma and you could tell she like tried to commit suicide at one point, so she's got a little bit of darkness. But the fact that she would like, again, you've known this woman for maybe a week, 2 weeks, and you're gonna sacrifice
No,
yourself,
absolutely
and
not.
also like how do you know that's gonna work? Like, oh, that'll stop it, like if I just jump out this window, like that'll stop everything, like you like that's some conviction to like to do that. It was just a
Yeah, she read
stupid
she
ending.
read a book and like she took it as like a fact. Like she read like 2 pages on the book and like it could have been like the books I wrote like in college where I used you as my source.
Yeah.
Shit's completely made up, man.
Yeah.
You can't count on
Yeah,
that. That's not
I wouldn't
fact.
trust anything I read
Yeah,
in a cult book.
yeah,
And
I
I'm not saying that
can't.
like demons don't exist and ghosts and paranormal and that shit, but like any occult book I'm gonna buy in Barnes and Noble, like I mean,
Yeah, it's not
I
gonna.
gotta have some like
It's
I gotta question
questionable,
it. Yeah,
questionable
exactly.
at best, and it was really bothering me that like first of all that was the biggest plot hole, and I was like I might have thrown something at the TV when she like decides that she's going to like sacrifice herself And she's like, yeah, but she kept saying like, well, I'm old and I'm this and
She
I'm
wasn't
that. It's
that
like,
old. She's
what
probably
was
like
she like
40.
51?
Yeah,
Like,
if even.
like, you know what I'm saying? Like, she didn't even have a wrinkle on her head. It's like
Yeah.
she getting like Botox and like 50. It's like, come on, man. It's like she wasn't old at all. They didn't preface it as maybe she has like, she's dying of
Yeah, if she
anything.
was
She
like a
has like
cancer
some sort
patient,
of
maybe I could get it.
something going on. They didn't do anything. She was just someone who had a daughter that died tragically in what it seems like her 20s, so it, not enough reason to kind of like sacrifice yourself for this couple where like this husband was like such a douche,
Yeah.
and you literally just met this wife who's married to a doctor and you're buying her stuff, and like it was just all backwards, and I didn't understand like why she'd be so attached to like this woman, this baby. When she works at a store, she probably sees 100 women, a
Yeah.
hundred babies. Like, why? Know what I would have done? I'm gonna tell you what I would have did if I was at their house and all this fucking paranormal activity started happening. I
Yeah.
just wouldn't went home.
Yeah, went about my life, forget like it ever happened. I mean, I probably talk about it on the show. I'm like, yes,
Yeah,
I was at this house the other night. Some fucked up
yeah.
shit happened. I got the hell out of there.
Got
I
the
don't
hell out
know.
of there.
Maybe they're
What
dead. Maybe they're
happened?
alive. I don't know.
I don't know. I
know?
stopped talking to them, man.
Yeah,
When they text, I don't text back. That's it.
I ghost them.
Yeah,
I
that
leave them
shit.
on red.
I ain't getting, I ain't getting involved with that, man. It's like I was there, and like there was a book moving. I went to grab the Doritos. The Doritos moved. I'm like, I gotta get the fuck out of this place,
Yeah, I
man.
grabbed the pickles and I got the hell out of
Yeah, the door slammed shut. I
there.
was locked out, and I was like, I gotta get back in. And I'm like, wait, what am I doing? Why am I trying to get back in? I'm just gonna leave. And that's what
Yeah.
I would have did. But instead, she sacrifices herself when they could have spent like probably like 3 minutes and really thought about like maybe another alternative that they could have done to kind of end this. But yeah, it was a
What
huge plot hole, and I hated
what would
it.
have been a better ending, and it would have been too dark, so they wouldn't have done this. But like how I thought the movie was gonna end is there's a scene where um the woman is about like she thinks she's break smashing the doll, and like then she
Mm.
thinks it's like her
Oh yeah,
baby.
that was fucked up.
And
Yeah.
if that was the ending, this would have been like a much better movie because I would have been like, because I was like, holy
Holy
shit.
shit. Yeah.
But then you find out it was like, no, she didn't actually kill her own baby. It was just like a doll or something like that. But like that would have been the way to end the movie. Like
That
this
was
drove, and then the husband coming in and being like, "What the fuck did
what
you
the hell
do?"
happened. Yeah,
You know?
that yeah, that would have been like a mainstream film like this was. That would definitely be like a darker film. But yeah, I thought that was like one of the most impactful moments of this
Yeah.
film
And then it
because
was like for nothing. It was like, oh, that didn't even happen. Like, oh, I
and the
hate
thing
that
is,
shit.
I saw it before. I saw this 5 times before, and I always forget. And I was like, "Oh
Yeah,
shit!" I'm
same,
like, "What is she
same.
doing?" I'm like, "Oh my god, is that really the baby?" And then they're like, "Oh, it's not." And all right, like what do we do? What are we doing here? It's not. And I want the James Wan direct that scene because that was really, really impactful. Really terrifying too, because for one split second, you're like, "What
Yeah.
happened?"
And then so I also don't get it because like okay the baby is like missing somewhere like the
Hmm.
demon I guess hid the baby, we don't know where the baby is, did the demon take the baby? Now the demon is there and demon wants one soul and that's it. Now does that just mean if somebody dies like nearby the demon takes it? Because like again this woman that sacrifices herself jumps out the window and dies on the street. Like how does the demon like oh shit I got to go out down there and get this soul? Like how does that even, it just doesn't make any sense.
I,
Like I
I,
I
I
don't
mean,
understand it.
I don't know
And
if she
maybe
had
I'm
it.
overthinking it because this is
No,
Annabelle, who gives a shit, but like it was so
no, I
stupid.
think, I mean, did so it had to do with that symbol, and so I don't know if she performed some sort of
Oh, I
thing like routine or something like that, or she drew the symbol somewhere or something like that to give herself as a like they don't show it. It's a weird awkward cut, right? I think I don't know what happened with the actual filmmaking there because it does seem like an awkward cut where all of a sudden she's standing on the ledge, and I feel like we're missing that 2 seconds before she got up there, which I don't know why they didn't show, but yeah, maybe she gave some
did
sort of
something
indication
maybe.
that she was going to take the place of the baby or Mia. I'm not 100% sure who the demon wanted. I'm not saying it's the baby. Like I don't know. I think there were times I thought it was Mia that it wanted.
I don't. It's not clear. And
It's not
again, just
clear.
just
Yeah.
getting back to our original point, like this movie is a mess. Like if people enjoy it, like that's cool because there are things about it. It's a ghost story. It's like it's watchable, but it is does seem like a bit of a mess. So like let's. Do you have anything else, or we could wrap this one up and move on to
No,
the
man,
next one?
let's wrap this one up
Yeah.
because honestly, I feel like the more we talk about it, the more confusing it's going to
Yeah,
get.
especially the
And
more I drink, the more
and we're
confused I'm
not,
gonna
yeah,
get. So
we're not going to help the film. We're not going to help anyone listening to this. We're just going to make it like more, confusing. But if you're out there and you have a different theory about maybe, what this demon wanted, why that woman sacrificed herself, had the demon know she was a sacrifice, who the demon was after, if you have any idea of any of those answers, let us know because all we have is these three films to work with. And honestly, we never see or hear about these three characters again.
yeah, and why didn't the demon take the souls of the person the cult murdered? The cult murdered like two people. Why didn't it take their
That
souls?
why didn't
That'd
take
be
the
dumb.
priest?
Yeah, the priest dies.
There was like
Anyway, okay, so like what we do on this show
there's a
is
lot.
we rate every movie on a scale of 0 to 5 bloody knives, 0 being the worst, 5 being the best. And what we do is we play a little drinking game, and how that works is the number of bloody knives I give a movie are the number of seconds Jerry needs to drink, and vice versa. So, Jerry, what do you give this movie on a scale of 0 to 5 bloody knives?
Yeah, so 2 weeks ago I would have gave this film a three because that's the
Whoa.
way I remembered it. But now that I rewatched it and I remembered it accurately and I critiqued it, it's pretty awful. It's not a good film. I should stop watching it. I don't know why I watched it that many times. I should really stop. All right, that's as of this day, I'm not watching this film anymore. I'm giving it 1.5 bloody knives.
So you know what's funny you say that because like yeah I give a movie a low rating when I'm like I'll never watch this again, and I'm like you and I say I'll never watch this again, but I guarantee you in like 2 years I'm gonna forget all about it, and I'm gonna be like, you know what, maybe I'll give it another try, maybe it is good, and I probably am gonna watch it again and I will be pissed. That said, I am with you on the 1.5. That's what I'm giving it to because yeah the
It's
movie's
fair.
not good, it's got some moments, but it's not really worth watching. But anyway, 1.5, cheers.
That was
Nice and
quick, and
easy.
that's all I'm going to dedicate to that film. I'm not going to drink another, not even 1 second longer for that film.
So let's move on to Annabelle Creation from 2017, which is the prequel to Annabelle, which
Prequel.
as Jerry already discussed, kind of really fills in a lot of the plot from this movie. And again, unfortunately, you probably need to watch this one with subtitles or deal with having the remote in your hand constantly to go up and down with them with it. I will give the plot really quick. 12 years after the tragic death of their little girl, a doll maker and his wife welcome a nun and several girls from a shuttered orphanage into their home, where they become the target of the doll maker's possessed creation, Annabelle, which is in a closet in a forbidden room, which again makes no sense because they do make at a point that the energy in the house is draining and making the wife really sick. I don't know why they didn't just throw the doll down the well or bury it or do whatever they could have done
The
to it.
shed.
They could have done anything, but they keep the doll in the house where it can be discovered, and it is discovered by one of the little girls in the orphanage. And what I will say about this movie, like this feels a lot more like the Conjuring films, just in the
Yeah,
look of it and the feel of
great.
it. Very different than the first Annabelle movie. It is once it gets going, and it gets going pretty quickly. It is like nonstop jump scare after scary scene for scary scene. The hard time I have with this movie, other than it being kind of again another one, it feels like it was written by AI. There's two things about it that make it difficult. One is most of the bad things happen to these two little girls, one of which is in a wheelchair, and it's very difficult to like for me as a human being to just see all this bad shit keep happening to these two poor orphans. It's just like I don't want to see bad shit. I don't want to see them haunted, and it's like the whole movie they're getting kind of like the shit kicked out of them, and it's a little hard to watch, and one of them ends up getting possessed and a bunch of shit happens. Very cliche, but it is hard to kind of watch this movie where all this stuff keeps happening. The other thing I have about this movie that makes it difficult for me, I'm a huge fan of paranormal movies and haunted house movies. And to me, they usually follow a pretty predictable pattern, which I like, in that it's things start happening slowly, like smaller things that gradually like build up to bigger things. And I feel like in this movie, once the paranormal stuff happens, it's big thing, big thing, big thing, big thing. It feels like I'm walking through one of those like haunted house, like,
Yeah.
Universal Studios walkthroughs, and I'm going into one room. I know where the scare is going to happen, but and then it happens, and maybe I jump, maybe I don't. Then I move to the next room. I see like it's creepy. Like I know the scare is going to come from over there. Maybe it comes from here. But that's what the movie feels like. It's just it's like a roller coaster ride, which could be enjoyable for people, but for me it was exhausting. It was like, okay, I need a break in this tension. Like it's just you just keep hitting me with shit after shit after shit. And I got really bored. I got like really
Mm.
bored where I was like, I need this just to end already because I get it. Like you did a bunch of scary shit. I don't need more scary shit. So that's kind of like why I personally did not enjoy this movie. I will say the scares, there's some of them are really good. It is creepy. There is a lot of dread. Oh, the last thing I will say before I hand it over to you, even though like a lot of these bad shit happens, I never felt like any of the characters were in danger.
Oh,
And
really?
maybe it's because they're little kids, but I don't know. I just felt like no one was gonna die, like nothing bad was gonna happen. It's just some scary shit's gonna happen, and then they're gonna get away. Like I never felt anyone was at risk, and to me, like I need to know something bad might happen, and I did not get that feeling from this movie, which took me out of it. Anyway, I just talked for a while. How about you? What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, so this is my new favorite one. I actually really
I
enjoyed
kind of
this.
figured it. Yeah, I figured
Yeah,
it.
I actually really enjoyed it, and I think I confused this one with the last one, which was the newest one. So Annabelle Comes Home. I think I confused these two, and now that I watched them fairly close together, kind of puts things in order, and I realized that this is the one that in fact I like. And what I did like about it is I did like the constant scares. I thought this was the scariest one. And if nothing's gonna happen, at least scare me. And I think a lot of the scares were really cool and they were really effective and they were creepy at times. And they really kind of like play with like those things you don't like, the things in the closet, the things under the bed, the things in the dark hallway, all the things that we were, terrified of as we were a kid. And here we are watching like little, like 10-year-olds basically go through this. So I feel like you could kind of put yourself in their position and kind of feel scared. And, when I think about when I was a kid and I was like super, super scared and I was terrified and I knew there was a ghost in my closet. I knew it. And all I did was fall asleep. And I think this was so accurate because again, there was scenes just like that where like the Linda character or, was shooting that ball down the hallway and something was tugging on it and that was terrifying, but she just like went underneath the blankets and fell asleep. And to me, that was just so real, because you're still a kid and you still just fall asleep. You still somehow forget
Yeah,
about
it
it
happens. Yeah.
and move on. You move on from like the most terrifying thing to be like, I don't know what, like you just forget it. I don't know. I can't remember the thought process, but I've been there before. I've been that scared, and don't know why I fell asleep or what I thought the next day. So I think they played in a lot of like those like kind of like children fears, and I like that. And I thought that Janice and Linda, I mean they were the two main characters out of everyone, which they also were the youngest. I thought they did great. I thought they were great actresses. And you felt scared. You felt scared for them. I mean, you said it. You said you actually felt bad for them, and I think it's because of how they played the role. I think it was really effective. Uh, Linda is Becky. Yeah, it's Lulu Wilson.
Okay.
So yeah, I didn't. It took me a while to realize that it was the same person. So I'm actually a huge fan of the Becky movies, and starting to know her as an actress. I guess probably when I saw this, I didn't realize it was her. But then when I was checking out the cast, I'm like, oh, it's freaking Becky. I'm like, but she was good. And you're right, day one, the second they got there, day one, creepy stuff starts happening. No ramp up, nothing, things moving behind, objects, lights flickering, just crazy stuff happening from day one. And I was like, man, this ghost has no chill at all. And I thought it was cool when Janice, who is the girl in the wheelchair that has polio, she could barely walk. I find it very, very strange that she was the one to go exploring like the off limits room and to stay in there, even though there was no lights. And even when like weird things were happening, she didn't really just walk out of the room. She kind of just stayed there to see how they would play out. And I thought that was really weird because I'm like, what kid?
I
Like
wouldn't.
what
Yeah.
yeah, like what kid would stay in a room if you even heard like a creak? You'd haul ass out of there. And alluded to before, but like one of my favorite things is when she finds that Annabelle doll, I guess, which was probably the first night or second night they were
Yeah.
there. And she's like, this thing's ugly or whatever, and throws the sheet over it because it's creepy as hell, even though Mia thought it was a beautiful doll. It was a creepy as hell, ugly doll. And she throws the sheet on it. And I felt chills, man, when you just kind of see it stand up.
That was
And
creepy. I
I
agree. That was
mean,
really creepy.
it's so cliche, like a ghostly character with a sheet over them, but it works for
Yeah.
me. I don't know why it works for me because it's not a costume, it's not a monster, it's nothing. It's literally a sheet over something, but that always scares me. And got me this time too. I'm like, that was fucking scary.
You
You
know,
know?
it's funny you mentioned that with the sheet, and that scene is scary, and that's like the one thing I remember from this movie. And I'd seen this movie years ago, and I remembered that scene. And you know I'm not a fan of these movies, but there's one Paranormal Activity movie that has like a scene
Yeah.
with a
Yeah,
sheet,
part three,
and that is
yeah.
probably the best scene in all of those movies, in my
All
opinion.
those,
That
yeah.
scene is creepy. It's part three where that
Yeah,
happens.
why?
Yeah,
Yeah, why
yeah.
is it creepy though?
I don't know.
Like it's a sheet and like I don't know what it is. Maybe that there's nothing underneath it or something like there's something I don't know. Maybe we grew up watching Scooby-Doo and that's what all the ghosts look like.
Yeah.
Like I don't know why that's scary, but that was scary. And I did like that. Yeah, again though, kind of just moving forward a little bit. Yeah, I mean a lot of creepy stuff was happening when kind of like the bitches or the bullies of the group or
The
Carol and
Mean
Nancy.
Girls. Yeah.
Yeah, they were like telling the ghost stories underneath the sheet, and you see like that figure in the room and the bell ringing. Again, another creepy scene because that's shit you do when you're a kid, man.
Yeah.
You're like underneath the sheet and you're like, I'm just gonna stay here. Like you think there's someone on the other side of the sheet. Instead of looking like you should, you're like,
Yeah.
nope, I'm staying here. Like there's some sort of layer of protection from like some linen, but you're like, nope, I'm staying here. And again, it really plays off of like those like that youth core level fears. And I'm like, man, they're tugging at all those things that I probably found scary when I was a kid. So I liked a lot of the scares in this film and the fact that they were like almost one after another. I didn't have to wait, you
Yeah,
know?
no, and look, and like I said earlier that I was bored during this movie. It's not boring. Like there's again, if you're maybe I just need to be in the right headspace for it. To me, it was just exhausting.
Mm,
But yeah, the movie it starts pretty quickly, and it's just there's again, like you said, scare after scare. I do think the acting was good. I think the performances were good. I think the filmmaking was good too. And I do think this is the best movie out of the three Annabelle movies by far. It is scary. It is creepy. Do I like it? Not really.
mm.
But like to me, it just didn't get me, and I gave the reasons why. But there are some good scenes. The one scene that sticks out at me too that was scary was the scene with those puppets,
Oh God, yeah.
and it was just I hadn't seen that before in a movie, and that was creepy. And what happens in the scene is basically like there's a small little puppet theater kind of thing with these like marionette puppets, and they're kind of moving, and like the girl's looking at it, and like there's no one behind there moving them. It just they just drop, and there's nothing there, and that to me was creepy as hell.
Yeah. But she stayed in the room.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, what the hell would you have done if you saw that? If I saw that today, I'm a grown ass man. If I saw that
Yeah.
today, and I don't really scare that easily. If I saw that, I would haul ass so fast and I would never go back. I wouldn't go back in the room and she goes back in the room. I would never talk about the room. I wouldn't do anything. And yet, She does. I thought that was like super, super scary.
Oh, and
Yeah,
then
I mean,
the other note I have too on another scene that I really liked, but it ended up being ridiculous, is this. So the girl in the wheelchair needs to use a
I know where
special
you're
thing to
going.
go
Yeah,
up and
I
down
love
the.
it.
It's like a motorized chair that goes up and down
Yep.
the stairs. And I forget the reason why, but for some reason in the middle of the night in the darkness, she decides she wants to go, I think, downstairs. And of course, like the chair malfunctions and she
Yeah.
gets stuck, and it's like it's really creepy. And then it's like super silent, and then all of a sudden, boom, she gets pulled out of the chair, but she get launches like 30 feet in the air. And I'm not gonna lie to you, I laughed. It was like comical. Launches 30 feet in the air, it lands, and then is like not even really a scratch on her. Like she's kind of, they kind of quote unquote like hurt the next day, but she looks kind of fine. But it's like, how do you explain that? Like, you literally, I know they just probably found her on the floor and said, "Oh, you're exaggerating," but she literally got launched
It's
30
like
feet in the air and landed. This is a child. Like, how did she not have a broken
I
face after
something.
that?
Yeah, I mean,
It
yeah,
was a little ridiculous.
it
It
was a
was a
little
little ridiculous.
ridiculous. I guess,
But leading up to that was scary. The scene was scary
it,
until that happened, and I was like, "Oh my God, that was so
it
funny."
was scary, but honestly, the second you saw them with the stairwell, you're like, "Pff, what are they gonna do with that?"
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
you already
Oh
know,
yeah, yeah.
you could already see how they're building that in because like why would they even make note of
No.
it if they
Yeah,
weren't
and
gonna
it was
use it
cool. It was cool. Like
later on?
I
And it was super super cool. And you feel for her. You get frustrated with the speed of the slow ass chair. You're like, go, hurry up. And like, oh, she's rounding the corner. She's going to be okay. Because I think as a kid, you thought that too. It's like, as long as I can't see anything, I'll
Oh
be all
yeah, yeah.
right. But yet it's still caught up with her. And yeah, it launches her. And I guess we just assume that she's a kid and, she could rebound a little bit better than when
Me.
I get off this chair later, probably throw my back out. But, for her, she could do things like that and just kind of be like, oh, well. But I think that kind of plays into like the next day where she does go outside and they leave her on the wheelchair by herself and it's just daytime. And then all of a sudden that creepy nun, which I guess is like the introduction to the
Yeah, it's
nun,
supposed to be the
starts
nun. Yeah.
starts pushing her into like that shed, and she can't do shit. She's a little kid in a wheelchair. What is she gonna do? She can't do anything. And to me, I was like, wow, that is fucking scary because you're like helpless and hopeless at that moment, and anything that's gonna happen, you can't do anything about. And once you got in that shed with that scarecrow and all those weapons in there, I was like, oh man, this is not gonna go well. And essentially, that's where she gets possessed. So I thought that was really scary, terrifying. Just thinking about like what that girl was going through. So I liked it, and the fact that they just brought this weird character in, introducing you to the nun, and you really don't see him. I was like, that's kind of scary too. So there are a lot of things that they did in this film that worked. And if you're in it for the scares, this is definitely the one to watch. If you're watching it for the plot line, I don't know, maybe, they fill in some plot, but outside of filling in the plot, it's not too much going on there. It's like, but I do think it's by far the best one for scares.
I completely agree. I cannot disagree with that. Again, I didn't like it. Will I watch it again? Maybe one day, but I don't know. But I just not a fan of it for the reasons I gave. But again, it is scary. It is effective. I don't think it's a bad movie at all. It's just not one that I found like entertaining. So if I were to rate this one, knowing that I gave Annabelle a 1.5,
Hmm.
I still got to give this one. It's funny because this is a much better movie than Annabelle, but my enjoyment of it is not that much more. So I am going to give it a two.
Wow.
However, my two comes with an asterisk that I get if people like this movie because it does have some good qualities. It just wasn't for me. So I'm giving it a two. What do you give it?
Yeah, so I definitely like this one out of the bunch, and if it's on, I'm gonna watch it again. I do enjoy it. I don't think it runs too long. I think it's a good runtime on it. Doesn't I think it's about an hour and a half, maybe a couple minutes more, and it moves quick. So I liked it. This is something I'd probably show someone if they were trying to get into like Annabelle, or if they were trying to watch a scary movie or something like that, I'd be like, oh, well, check this out. Like, because most people, that's what they want to see. They don't want to, a slow burn with like
Yeah.
one big scare at the end. They probably want to like just always be at the edge of their seat and constantly stuck in like that fight or flight mode where you're just like I don't know what to do and you're just kind of like feeling anxious watching it and I think that's how you feel when you watch this because it is like almost one after another and you don't really get a break and that kind of explains like why you felt like kind of exhausted because it keeps you like held in that position for
Yeah.
probably 45 minutes, I would say, maybe
Yeah.
50 minutes. It goes the whole length. So I did like that. And because of that, I'm going to give this one a three. Three
Okay.
bloody knives for this one because I thought the other one was going to get three. This is the one that deserves a three. It's a good film. And I'm going to watch this one 5 times.
All right, let's drink to that.
All
Cheers.
right. Cheers.
So I will say, in like kind of doing research on this movie, I realized that I am definitely not a fan of the Conjuring universe at all.
Mm,
I love the first Conjuring, and we'll probably do a Conjuring episode when
yeah.
part four comes out later this year. I love the first Conjuring. I do not like the second and the third
Mm.
one. I do not like the Annabelle films. I do not like the Nun films. I've never seen La Llorona, so I don't know that. But I would say out of all the Conjuring films, and I think that's all of them, I would probably say that Annabelle Creation is my second favorite, even though I
Mm.
didn't really like it. I would say I like it better than I like some of the other movies. Conjuring 2, I like for like the
I like
first
it.
hour, and then I feel like I forget what happens after that because I always get really bored at a certain point and I turn it off. Um, and I need to just force myself to watch it straight through again, but I always, something happens in it. I don't remember what, but I always give up. And that movie's long, it's over 2 hours.
Oh
So
yeah,
maybe I get
yeah.
really bored at a certain point, but it starts out there's some really creepy scenes in that. And again, we'll talk about it more in depth, but yeah, I would say that this Annabelle Creation is probably my second favorite out of the whole universe. So now moving on to the third Annabelle film, Annabelle Creation in 2017. This one is really tied to the Conjuring universe because it does have Ed and
This is
Lorraine
this is
Warren
come
in
this is
it.
comes home 2019.
Oh, duh.
Yes, it's all right.
Oh, yeah, I wrote the wrong title. Sorry. Annabelle Comes Home, 2019. The plot of it is 12 years after. Oh, wait, no, I'm looking at the wrong movie.
Move your note up.
Okay. Annabelle Comes Home 2019. While babysitting the daughter of Ed and Lorraine Warren, a teenager and her friend unknowingly awaken Annabelle,
Mm,
which activates all of the dark spirits in the house. And for those of you who are
scary.
not familiar with the Conjuring films, Ed and Lorraine Warren are based on real life demonologists, and they have a room in their house where they keep every possessed object they've ever encountered, and there's all kinds of shit in there. And Annabelle is the one that is hidden behind glass with a lock. And one of the teenager babysitter's friend Daniela is kind of looking for answers about her dead dad. Decides to open the Annabelle case, which lets the demons free, and then all of the haunted objects basically come to life and fuck with the three girls over the course of a night. Fuck with the three girls and um, the suitor Bob's got
Bob.
balls.
Bob's got balls.
Bob's
Great,
got balls. The
great guy.
teenage boy who's in
Great,
love with Mary Ellen.
great premise. Great plot. Fails completely on execution. This film.
Agreed. Great plot. You know what's funny?
Awesome plot.
This
Awesome
movie,
plot.
if I had to describe this movie, I would say it's like the cabin in the woods of the Conjuring films, but it fails miserably.
Yes, I don't know how they messed this one up, but somehow they messed this one up because there's a lot of things I like, but when it comes down to it, it kind of feels very 2019 and it's just watered down. Let's put something out, let's
It's
get,
teen horror.
yeah, let's get a few teens, let's get a few young kids, let it appeal to everyone. Love the concept, like this Ed and Lorraine's weird quarantine room feels almost like a kink room to me. It's a little like I don't really know what's going on in there, how much time Ed's really spending in there. I don't know what's happening, but it's definitely like a strange room. Pretty shitty locks, a couple locks on them, but anyone could get right in. So really not protecting it. but yeah, I kind of like the concept that the Warrens are going out. This is their daughter. She's kind of normal. She doesn't really know what like mom and dad do. And they have like the babysitter come by whenever a babysitter's coming. You know, there's gonna be some drama.
Yeah.
You know, like any horror film, as soon as the babysitter shows up, there's definitely drama going to follow. So I was like, this is pretty cool. And you know, you kind of feel a bit for Judy, the daughter, because everyone else knows about her parents, and she's kind of like the outcast of school, and no one really likes her, and no one really wants to show up to her birthday party, and it's sad. And you know, Mary Ellen, the babysitter, is trying to do a nice thing. And so it feels like it's really set up to like be very, very interesting, because I like all those tent poles of this plot. You
Yeah.
know, I'm like, oh, that's
It's
nice.
a
You
great
know,
plot. Yeah.
yeah, I'm like this you know, this daughter and this babysitter gonna be home alone. I like it. They order some pizza. I mean,
Which
any
is the grossest looking pizza I've ever seen. It
yes,
looks
but I
terrible.
do
It
love
looks
when
terrible.
whenever a pizza is ordered in a film, I make note of it just because I think it's cool. I don't know
I,
why. I
I
love
agree
it.
with that pizza looks so bad.
They're in what, Connecticut?
Yeah, they have to. No, they have good pizza in Connecticut because
That's
that's
the
where
pizza belt. Yeah,
House of the
yeah,
Devil takes place
yeah.
there. That looked
That's
amazing pizza.
that's a part of the pizza belt. I believe Connecticut is at the tail end of the pizza belt. So I don't know where they got their pizza from. You know, maybe it was just Domino's. But if Domino's wants to sponsor this podcast, then we love Domino's. But
It was
if it
that
was
was not Domino's. I don't
then
know
it was
what that
Pizza
was.
Hut. I don't know what it was, but yeah, they did order that. But yeah, I mean, but again, a lot of creepy things happen in this film, and kind of seeing all of the different objects kind of animate all of a sudden, it really kind of led to something that I felt like was going to be really scary. You're like, what object is going to go after them next, or what is the power of that object? What could it do? You know, they had like the mirror, which was, you know, kind of scary, where you could see things in. They had like that Kubla Khan thing. There was a whole bunch of scary things. But what happens? Fucking werewolf shows up.
Dude, so the note I wrote was this movie
Like,
had I was invested in this movie until there was a ghost werewolf, and then I was like,
like what?
this movie sucks. Right? That was
Ha-
the point where I was like, this movie sucks. Whatever happens after this doesn't matter because there's a ghost werewolf, and I immediately have checked out. That is the stupidest,
it's a
silliest
major
thing.
part, and
Yeah.
it just doesn't go away.
No, it was so
It's it,
silly.
it takes over
So
half
silly.
the second half of the film. It's like the whole second act is this werewolf chasing Bob, and
A
then
ghost werewolf.
yeah, and he was hanging out in Debo's chicken coop for a while, trying to hide out. And I'm like, man, I'm like, why you had all these things, and yet you like honestly, a mummy would have been better. Like literally anything, anything that was in that room would have been better. But they didn't even show us a werewolf. They didn't give any indication that a werewolf was available to attack anyone, that they captured a werewolf. But yet there was a werewolf in this film, and it was a major part of it. And I hated every single second once the werewolf showed up.
Yeah, and again, this movie took forever to get going. Like it really doesn't get going till like the hour mark, which was unnecessary. One thing I will say that for me, there's a bunch of plot holes in this one. The biggest plot hole, and maybe you can explain this to me, is with regards to the Annabelle doll itself. Now, the Annabelle doll is kept in a case behind glass, which they indicate is blessed by a priest or it's from a church or something like that. So the
Yeah.
glass is holy. However, it's the lock that keeps Annabelle in there because like Annabelle doesn't come out until they open the lock. So like this little shitty lock is what
Yeah.
keeps all of these demons at bay. It's not that the Annabelle can't get out of the thing because of the glass is blessed. It's because of the lock. Makes no sense. Like that makes no sense. The
Uh,
doll couldn't break through, like couldn't open the lock itself. Like it that
I
and
think
also why it even opens up. Like Danielle is in the room looking for whatever she's looking for, and she's drawn to open this
yeah.
thing to touch this doll that it says don't touch. Like it made no sense. But to explain that to me that a lock and it's not even like a nice, like a big fucking
No, it's like a
master
diary or a
lock.
suitcase lock.
It's like a tiny lock that I
Yeah.
could literally break with like a screwdriver. That's what's keeping all of this evil at bay. That to me, I thought was so doesn't make any sense at all.
Yeah,
I know it's Annabelle. I know we can't really question like think too hard about it, but that bothered me so much. And then what stops all of the spirits is when they lock it again. Like,
yeah.
like
It's
everything stops. They're like
doesn't
all hell is breaking loose. They turn the key. That's it. We're good.
yeah,
Everything's wonderful again.
all the other haunted objects like, oh, we got to go home now. It's like
Yeah,
they have
yeah,
nothing to
because
do.
this
They
thing
have
is locked in
absolutely
there.
nothing to do with the demon. Annabelle is a demon.
Demons. Yeah.
Annabelle is not a haunted mirror, is not a haunted piano. Those are ghosts, and they're all different stories, all different types of spirits and evil and things like that. But yet somehow Annabelle controls them all. That again, it doesn't make any sort of sense. Yeah, I don't know. It's a major plot hole in this film. Um, and I did do some research, and they do say that, and I think they put it at the end of one of the films that, that Annabelle is locked up in a case, and it is blessed, bi-weekly by a priest. But Lorraine has died 5 years ago, and Ed has been dead for about 15 years.
So who are they still
Where the
blessing the
fuck
case?
is what's
Yeah.
going on? Where's the doll, man? Where the fuck is the doll? It's his
Yeah, what happened to all their stuff? Because they
is
used to have that as a museum you could actually go to.
yeah, is
Um,
I mean,
where is
is
all
it
the
true
stuff?
that
Yeah.
they just had the one kid? Is this kid's life, or is this kid like, no, I'm going to college. I want to be,
Away from this
a
fucking
math
doll.
teacher
Yeah.
and in Boston, and I want nothing to do with this. Who is watching this doll right now, or did it accidentally get thrown out again and it's sitting in some thrift shop and all this shit's gonna pop off soon? That's what I want to know, Rich. That's what I
Yeah.
want to know.
Well, will they make an Annabelle 4? I'm sure they will at some point, and that will hopefully explain what happened. That's a good point, though. Yeah, like if all of this stuff is like locked in there and being blessed, and that's the only thing keeping us, the whole world, safe, now that they've been dead for a long time, like who's
Like
maintaining that?
who's doing this? Who's
I
watching
tell you
it?
what, like if I'm the daughter and like my parents had a room like that, I'd be like, yeah, I'm out of here. Like I'm going away, man. I'm gonna like go live my life. I want nothing to do with this
Gonna
shit.
sell the house as is with no note.
Yeah. Just sell the house. Be like, yeah, I don't know. You can have whatever you want in that room. Don't
Just
worry
take what you
about it.
want, man. It's
Yeah.
okay. Just throw out what you don't want, take what you want. I just don't feel like cleaning it out. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's all yours.
And
Oddly,
there's a lot of plot holes. And one of the other things that bothered me, and if look, I have a problem with these possession movies and how it's like they have to do this big, huge exorcism to like get rid of the spirit, but they always indicate that these things aren't like quick. They take a long time. They have to keep coming back. It's like
yeah,
these exorcisms are brutal. So I believe it's Daniela gets possessed by some demon, I forget what. And what unpossesses her? They hit a recording of Ed doing an exorcism, and within like 15 seconds, like she's cured. It's like a recording of him exorcising another demon, like in the middle of the recording. It's not like it starts at the beginning and
yeah.
like you play the whole thing. It's like that's all it took to get rid of this demon was like a 15-second recording. It's absolutely like it's silly and it doesn't fit in with the other Conjuring films where they like make specifically say this is like not an easy thing and it almost kills Ed half the time to do these things. So it's like odd that they like brought that in here as like a way to save the day.
Yeah, you know what that
It,
is, right? Banana peel. That's it,
yeah,
man.
total banana peel.
That's it. That's exactly what it is. They just threw it down there and
Yeah, and for those
slipped
of
on
you
it.
who don't know when we talk about banana peel, what we mean here is like when you also watch those old cartoons and like the villain is chasing like Bugs Bunny or something like that, and there's no way Bugs Bunny's going to get away, and the villain just happens to slip on a banana peel.
Happens.
And like, how often do you ever see a banana peel on the floor?
Yeah,
Never, right? But it just happened to be there,
happens to be
and
there.
you're right. That's exactly
Everything's
it.
okay and everything is
Yeah.
solved, and that banana peel could literally be anything in a film that gets you out of a mess or a hole that you dug yourself in. And that's why we say it, because they dug the hole, but they didn't figure out how they're going to fill it. And that's what they
Yeah.
did. So they put out a plot hole. They put out something that doesn't follow the storyline, something that is completely ridiculous. Whatever the simplest thing is to get them out of that mess is what they do. And again, that's what they did here. They had nothing. They wrote it and they did not know what they were going to do with this girl. Like, oh, just play a recording. That
Yeah,
works.
that'll do it. And
No,
the other like banana peel like ending too of this, it's like the little girl Judy who is it's not like indicated that she's strong or has powers or anything. She's just like a little girl.
yeah.
Probably seems pretty weak too. And the big bad demon is just like has his hands around her throat. He's like stealing her soul, I guess, like completely overpowering her. And she grabs a cross and like puts it on the demon, and that's what kills him. And it's like, how can this demon not stop this little girl? This is supposed to be like the big evil, and this like 9-year-old girl just defeats him in like 2 seconds. It was like absolutely silly. And then
And
again, but
And we know the cross does not work for the Annabelle
because
demon
they show it
from
in Annabelle
Annabelle in
Creation.
Creation,
Yeah, there's that
where they
scene where the guy's
break,
holding the
yeah, where
cross
they
and
we
it
break all his fingers. Yeah.
which was a cool scene. Yeah, so you're right. So
Yeah.
the cross doesn't affect it, but in this movie it does.
Yeah, it makes no sense at all because we know that, the crucifix doesn't work. And again, that was, and we didn't talk about it in Creation, but yeah, when Sam's holding like
That's a cool
that
scene.
that crucifix and each one of his fingers are bent all the way back until they're like almost broken off, and he just drops the crucifix, but the crucifix didn't do anything to kind of like lessen or frighten the demon. It really did nothing. The demon just attacked him just as if he was holding nothing. So why would it work here? Banana peel, because they needed something. What they could have done, I don't know, because they're the ones creating the lore.
Yeah.
But
You
it's
think by the third movie they'd have it figured out, right? But I feel like this is just as sloppy as the first one. I don't think the second one is necessarily sloppy. Like it does make sense for the most part, other than a few plot holes, but this one just seems like again, really great idea, like very flawed movie, and it just feels like again another one that was like written really quickly or written with AI. Like I know it wasn't, but that's what it feels like, and it doesn't yeah, it doesn't work at all. This movie's it's funny. Like I go back and forth. What is the worst in the franchise? This one or the first one?
mm,
I don't know. Like they're both pretty bad. I would say maybe I like the first one better than this one because at least there's some good. I can't think
yeah.
of a good scare in this one. And there's a lot of scares. There's a lot of
Yeah, let me
scares in
let me
this
look at
movie.
my notes here. Now a lot
Yeah,
about the werewolf. No, there was a ferryman
I didn't
with
like the ferryman thing. That got
horns.
kind of played out. They spent a
Uh,
lot of time on that, which wasn't good. There's the bride, I
The
guess.
Bride, yeah. The only thing I liked in this was that Feely Millie game. That's like
Yeah.
I don't know who's playing that, but to me that was the creepiest thing. That weird thing where
Now
they stick their hand in there. That was creepy.
Yeah, so now like I'm trying to remember, and the game is yeah, like you're supposed to put your hand in this box and you need to pull out an
Yeah.
object. But they do it and it was creepy, but nothing happened. It's not like
Yeah,
anything
nothing
grabbed your
happens.
hand.
I just thought it was
It was a big
creepy.
letdown, but that could have been really cool. Was a creepy scene. Yeah, like and again, this is another movie where again the stakes weren't high. Like I never felt like any of these three were in danger in any kind. Like I felt like they were all gonna banana peel their way out of this, so it wasn't like tense. So are there a bunch of scary scenes? Yes. Are there a lot of jump scares? Yes. Do some of them work? Maybe. But like the movie just ultimately isn't scary. And at least Annabelle does have the original, has a few scenes that are
Oh
memorable.
yeah, definitely.
I just watched this movie a day ago. I cannot remember one scene where I'm like, oh yeah, that was cool. And maybe there was one or two, but I can't think of one other than them putting their hand in this game, which didn't really go anywhere.
Yeah, so I actually watched this one first because I was excited to watch it because I thought it was the one I liked. So I
Yeah.
so I watched this like about a week ago, and honestly, I can't remember shit from it. If I didn't have
Yeah.
like my notes in front of me, I wouldn't really have much to say that was memorable outside of the werewolf that just kind of sticks with me.
Yeah. It's
Um,
forgettable.
it is forgettable. I did like the characters. I did even like the actresses. I
Yeah, they
thought
were
it
fine.
had
They were
such
fine. Yeah.
good potential. I thought there was some funny things again when they delivered the pizza and like a slice was missing because like the stoner guy I think ate one or something like that. There were some like things that could have like if they leaned in a certain direction would have been a completely different film, but they just did a little bit of everything and it didn't really work out. Um, I'm gonna say this is the worst one just because
Yeah.
I would say it had the most potential. I really don't think the first film had as much potential because it just felt like it was going to be a standard haunted house story, but ended up being a haunted object story. This one was like we are at Ed and Lorraine's. We're in ground zero.
Yeah.
What the hell is going to happen? This could go really bad. This could be catastrophic for everybody if something happens in that room and all these haunted objects get out again and they have to go collect them, you know?
Yeah.
Um, but they didn't. They didn't do any of that. They,
Yeah.
they literally didn't do any of that. Instead, they had a werewolf.
Yeah,
And then,
yeah,
and
this is the
then
one that could have been like the best one of the
could have
whole
been the
fucking
best one. Could
universe,
have been the best one.
and it's probably one of the worst ones. Yeah, so let's wrap this up again. It's such
Yeah.
a shame because it is such a good concept, and it's like they blew it. They fucking blew it. What do you give this one 0 to 5?
So this is tough because I think it is the worst one. There, um, I'm comparing it directly to
You
the
have to.
first,
Yeah, you
and
have to.
just because it's the middle one's like the outlier in this one and direct comparison. Which one I watched? Nah, this got to get a one. It's getting one
Yeah,
bloody knife. It's worse. I don't want to watch it again. It sucks.
yeah, I'm with you. And while I
Yeah.
think I probably will end up watching the original at some point because I'll forget, not gonna forget that this one was shit. And at least the other one, the original, had some effective scares. This had really nothing redeemable.
Hmm.
I'm giving it a 1-2. The movie was not for me. I don't know who it was for. And like, there's a reason they haven't made another Annabelle movie since 2019. So this one probably didn't do too well. So yeah, look, both won. So we're pretty like on point with our ratings tonight. I know you liked Creation a little more than I did,
Yeah.
but I think we're pretty in sync. So let's cheers to that
Yeah. Cheers.
one.
Woo.
Man, nice easy night, and I
Wow,
will just
man.
crown Royal to drink.
People tuned into some like professional film critiquing tonight. No drinking games, no doing anything that's off the wall here like we normally do. So if you're tuning in just to hear some solid critiques tonight, this is your episode because I think we stuck pretty close to script here and didn't
Yeah, nothing. We didn't go off the rails.
didn't get crazy. No one's gonna miss work tomorrow. It's just gonna be a standard night. So hopefully this is enjoyable and you don't take pleasure in our pain.
Yeah, I mean, again, like we talked about like three films that are very similar but very different.
Yeah.
Your mileage may vary, but yeah, I'm a little happy I didn't get completely fucked up, but yeah, because like my
No,
liver
it's
could use
good,
a
man.
little
It's
break.
good.
Sometimes you gotta have an easy one. So anyway, so you could find us on Instagram at Horrorheads Podcast. You can email us at horrorheadspodcast@gmail.com. Subscribe to this podcast
Oh
wherever you
yeah.
see it. You could watch it on YouTube. You could listen on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, etc. We're pretty much everywhere. And that's it. So I don't think we talked about what we're gonna do next episode. I don't know what's
No,
coming
man, we,
out.
we we've been freestyling and
There just hasn't
hopefully,
been a lot.
yeah,
There hasn't been a lot of
hopefully,
new stuff.
yeah, like people are appreciating that. We're kind of taking it almost week by week because there aren't a lot of things to gravitate to. This is kind of like a desert of horror films in the first half of 2025. Are really not something that we would tackle. I mean, there's a couple horror films coming out, but nothing that we would get into. I think the ones that are coming out aren't really that exciting. So yeah, I mean, I think we could play the next one by ear again
Yeah, yeah. Let's
and
see what's coming out.
see what's up and deliver something exciting. There's there's always something. If there's one thing we'll never run out of, it's horror films.
Yeah, and
So
if not, we'll just do a whole episode of drinking games, and then I don't really give a shit either way.
yeah, if we ever run out of movies to talk about, we'll just invite all of our guests that we ever had on here just to do like one episode and just have everyone blabbing
Battle
the whole
Royale.
time. Yeah, just talking the whole time. Just say whatever you want, talk about whatever film you want, and we'll just all do like a big round table about it. But yeah, yeah. So we'll see what's up for next time. I think we have something the time after that, but for the next one, we're still gonna we'll see what's up.
All right, so let's do a long sip to this one.
Hell
Cheers,
yeah.
everybody. Have a great
Cheers.
night.
Ah, the fire.